Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on different denominators, part 4. This lesson is a continuation of the previous video. More examples will aim to help with further understanding. Example 1. 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4. Now we saw in previous videos that in order to add two fractions together, the denominators must be the same. So we're going to go through a process now to find two denominators that are the same, that is, they'll be common denominators. The smallest number that is a multiple of both 3 and 4 is 12. This is known as the lowest common multiple, LCM for short. So that will be the common denominator. So the smallest number that 3 and 4 will divide into is 12. So that's the denominator we're after. So that's what we're after here, that denominator there. So in order for that denominator to be 12, I multiply top and bottom by 4. That's what I've done here. And that gives me 4 over 12. So 1 over 3, the equivalent fraction is 4 over 12. In order for this denominator to be 12, I multiply top and bottom by 3. That's what I've done here, and that gives me 3 over 12. 4 over 12 plus 3 over 12 is 7 over 12, and that's the answer. Example 2, 3 over 4 plus 5 over 6. The LCM of 4 and 6 is 12. So when we find different fractions for these two, equivalent fractions, each of the denominators will be 12. For this denominator here to be 12, I multiply top and bottom by 3. That's what I've done there, which gives me 9 over 12. To get this denominator to be 12, I multiply top and bottom by 2. That's what I've done there, to give me 10 over 12. 9 over 12 plus 10 over 12 is 19 over 12. And we saw in previous videos how to change an improper fraction to a mixed fraction. 12 into 19 goes once, with a remainder of 7, so the answer is 1 and 7/12. Example 3, 3 over 5 minus 2 over 7. The LCM of 5 and 7 is 35. So that will be our common denominator. For this denominator to be 35, I multiply top and bottom by 7. That's what I've done there to get this fraction. For this denominator to be 35, I multiply top and bottom by 5. That's what I've done here, and that gives me that fraction. 21 over 35 minus 10 over 35 is 11 over 35, and that's the answer. Example 4, the lowest common multiple of 5, 3 and 4 is 60. For this denominator, so that must be 60 there. So for this denominator here to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 12. That's what I've done here, which gives me 36 over 60. For that denominator here to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 20. That's what I've done there, which gives me 40 over 60. And for that denominator there to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 15. That's what I've done there, which gives me 15 over 60. 36 over 60 plus 40 over 60 plus 15 over 60 is 91 over 60, which is 1 and 31 over 60. Example 5. 1 over 5 plus 1 over 3 plus a half minus 1 over 6. The LCM of 5, 3, 2 and 6 is 30. So that's our new denominator. For that denominator to be 30, I multiply top and bottom by 6. I've done that there, which gives me 6 over 30. For that denominator to be 30, I multiply top and bottom by 10. I've done that here, which gives me 10 over 30. For that denominator to be 30, I multiply top and bottom by 15. I've done that there, and that gives me 15 over 30. And for this denominator to be 30, I multiply top and bottom by 5. There it is there, which gives me 5 over 30. When we simplify that line, I get 26 over 30, and when I reduce that to simplest terms, so 26 over 30, if we divide the top and the bottom by 2, it gives me 13 over 15. And those two there are equivalent fractions. And the last example, 2 over 5 plus 3 over 4 minus 4 over 15 plus a half. The LCM of 5, 4, 15 and 2 is 60. So there's our new denominator. For that denominator to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 12. There it is there, which gives us 24 over 60. For that denominator to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 15, which I've done there. That gives me 45 over 60. For that denominator to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 4, which I've done here, and that gives me 16 over 60. And for that denominator to be 60, I multiply top and bottom by 30, which I've done there, and that gives me 30 over 60. When I simplify those four fractions together, because they all have the same denominator, it gives me 83 over 60, and if I change that to a mixed fraction, I get 1 and 23 over 60.